Good morning, good morning, good morning. It looks as if I've got something stuck on my head and I just cannot. I should have got up and moved it. But anyway, let me see if I can move this camera. Mutter, mutter, mutter. No, it's not making any difference. I can move myself. See, by the time I'm finished chuntering and getting myself, oh, still not right. But by the time I finish doing all of this, you'll all be up there. You'll all be on and we'll be able to get started. Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. I've forgotten what the date is today, but it's somewhere towards the end of March. Is it the 29th or anyway? We'll know in a minute when Chris comes on. But first, before we begin, I'd like to say good morning to my spirit guide, Grey Eagle, who is right by my side. And good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Rosemary. You were asking about the date. It is the very last date of March, the 31st.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Does this mean that tomorrow is the 1st of April?
Well, that would be April Fool's.
Exactly. Does this mean
Yes.
that it's April the 1st? Oh, great. I love April Fool's Day. I love it when my grandson calls me up and tries to fool me and then says April Fool, and I let him do it. And I don't let him know that I know what he's doing, but we do love an April Fool's prank. Got any good pranks that you remember, Chris? Oh, I've just thought of a great April Fool prank that I played years ago. I'll tell you about it in a minute. Any April Fool's pranks, Chris, that you can
Oh, my
remember?
dad pulled a spectacular one on us when we were kids.
Go ahead.
All right, so I was one of 7 kids growing up. So 9 people in the house, big table. Everybody, sat at the table for breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever it happened to be. We got up on Easter morning, of course, with the riddles and Easter baskets put in places that nobody could find. And we went to sit down for our big family breakfast and we pulled the chairs out and we couldn't pull them. And we yanked and we couldn't pull them. We're sitting at opposite sides of the table, one pulling one way, one pulling another. Finally, somebody gets down on their hands and knees. My father had intertwined rope in the legs of all the chairs, so none of us could get in our chairs. It was great.
That's a good April Fool. Well, what a nice memory. What a great dad that he must have had to bend down. Can you imagine fiddling about with all of that? He must have really had to work hard to do that. I think that's a great April Fool. A great, great, great April Fool's Day. Do we have any people on yet, Chris? Are we?
Oh, we do. We have plenty. They're already writing in.
Oh, good, good. Well, okay then. Let's throw out a challenge. Chris has just given an April Fool's prank that she remembers. Yes, Chris, absolutely spectacular. I'd love to have been there. I have an April Fool's story as well, which I should tell in a few minutes. How about all of you listening? Do you have an April Fool's prank that either you pulled on someone else or someone else pulled on you? How about that? And we want them to be fun and we want them to be, good and happy and so on and so forth. When we were kids growing up, of course, all of our friends had Easter eggs and so on and so forth. And I remember I was quite old. I might have been maybe 11 or 12, something like that, when we had our first Easter egg, which was bought for us by my older brother Terry. And I remember my mother, for some weird reason, probably to tantalize us, put these Easter eggs, they were in a box, each of them in a box, and put them on top of the wardrobe so that we could see them, but we couldn't reach them. And we had to wait until, so we were sort of tantalized by that for a few days before Easter Sunday. But that was our first Easter egg. It wasn't a common theme in our house. We didn't get chocolate, we didn't get things like that. But I do remember that one particular wonderful Easter Sunday when, for the very first time ever in our lives, we had a chocolate Easter egg. We make a big deal of Easter in my family. We have Easter hunts and so on. And last year, my grandson Reese was here, and what I did, which, which was, it was so much fun. So we had I bought him a couple of eggs. Of course, I bought his mummy some chocolate stuff as well. And we had, then I had bought some little tiny Easter eggs, and I bought some little Easter bunnies and things like that. And I made these notes. I printed them out. Well, actually, it was, to be honest, it wasn't me who did it. It was the Easter Bunny who did it. And the Easter Bunny printed out these sort of rhyming notes, so that every time Reese found an Easter egg, there was a note inside leading him to the next treasure, and the next treasure, and then the next treasure. And we had an Easter hunt that lasted almost an hour. It was so much fun. And afterwards, he came up to me and said, "Mosey, that was so much fun. It was the best Easter ever." My daughter wasn't happy about that, but there we are. It was the best Easter ever, because the Easter Bunny hid these things in strange places. In the oven, there was an Easter egg in the oven. It's a wonder the oven wasn't turned on and the Easter egg wasn't melted. Where else did the Easter? Oh, behind the TV, under the bed, behind some cushions, in a closet. And we had to guess from the rhymes, where possibly could these Easter eggs be? I know that many of you have done this for your children, or perhaps are going to do it for your children or your grandchildren this year. It is so much fun, and I think it's fair to say that we have as much fun as the kids do, finding all these little treasures. So, to my delight, I have to tell you that my grandson will be here this Easter. Yes, because yesterday I booked them a flight. It's my daughter's birthday on the 7th, so I booked them a flight for her birthday, and just because. And they are coming on the 14th, so they'll be here on Easter Sunday. So we will have another treasure hunt. And what we might do, Chris, what do you think to this idea? We might film a little bit of it and share it with you all, either on Instagram or Facebook or who knows where, but we'll see if we can film a little bit of our treasure hunt. And if you would like to do the same with your treasure hunts, we would love to have you send them to us, because we'd love to see what you're up to as well. So, Chris, has anybody sent in an April Fool's prank that they did? Or let's hear from one or two people.
Absolutely. Judith says, my mother passed over on April 1st. So my sister said, mother planned it that way. Haha.
Yeah. Yes, it's a good thing she didn't pop out of the coffin and say April Fool.
Oh my God. Cheryl says, no pranks that she can remember because they would have gotten spanked.
Oh, well, we would have too. We certainly didn't pull pranks at home. Absolutely not. No, we wouldn't have dared do something like that. I'm with you. But I'll tell you my April Fool story. I was probably 13 or 14 years old at the time, and I was in school, obviously. And I was known for my shyness. I know you don't believe it. I know you can't believe it, can you, that I was so shy that I would barely say boo. I would barely say boo to a goose, as we would say in England. I was so shy that, I really didn't speak very much often. And, I was always a very good girl, always did as I was told. And isn't that's how we used to be mostly, isn't it, when we were kids? I don't remember any of the kids in my school being obnoxious or unruly or causing problems, because they would have been dealt with very sternly, I think. Anyway, so here we are. We're in the gymnasium. In my school, we had a fully stocked gymnasium with ropes and swings and bars and you name it, we had it. And so at some point during this lesson, and I really hated anything sports related, to be honest. But anyway, here we were, and I was walking on one of the bars and fell. Or did I? And I couldn't get up. My foot was so painful. The teacher came over. She examined my foot, asked if it hurt. She bent it this way and that way. It was so painful. I was almost in tears. She said, let's see if you can stand up on it. Let's see if you can walk. And I couldn't, and I fell back down again. And eventually, this went on for quite some time, and she was just checking me out. And eventually, she got two of the girls to come and help me, one on either side of me, to help me to the nurses' room. And so, there we all were. And it was a huge gymnasium, and I leaned on these two girls, and I'm hobbling along, and I'm almost in tears, and I get halfway across the gymnasium. The teacher's very worried by this time. Because she can see, she thinks I might have seriously damaged my ankle. And then I just looked at her and I said, okay, I'm good now. I started walking perfectly well. And I turned around and said, I think that's April Fool.
Wow.
And well, but it backfired on me, you see.
I'm
It really
sure.
it backfired on me. So that was fine. Everybody laughed, all the kids. Nobody, you see, nobody expected me to do something like that because I was not mischievous. I was just a very quiet kid. I don't know what came over me, but there we are. And anyway, everyone laughed. We all had fun. The teacher laughed. She gave me a stern talking to and said, don't scare me like that again. But she was laughing too. Anyway, that was fine. And then we sort of finished the lesson, and then there was a break time, and then we had to go back to our form teacher, and our form teacher was a terrible, awful uh, teacher. Miss Crowfoot was her name. Boy, oh boy, she lived up to the name. She was tenacious. She was mean. She was a bully. She would stand at the top of the stairs, and during sort of recess, when we sort of had to cross the hall from one classroom to another, she'd stand at the top of the stairs and bellow, "You girl," and stop talking. She terrified everybody in the school, I think, including the headmistress, to be honest. Anyway, um, so so we had to go back to our classroom, our form teacher, and we're all sitting there and we're waiting. And all of a sudden, Miss Crowfoot calls out my name and stand up, and I have to stand up. And she, come out here, girl, and my gym teacher had gone back to the teachers' lounge and apparently told all the teachers what I'd done to her. So now all the other teachers were on guard. And Miss Crowfoot looked at me. She said, you better not try anything like that in my class, young lady. But for the first time ever, I saw that she was trying hard not to laugh. So they all appreciated that this quiet, timid little thing dared to do, a big prank, and it worked so well. Anyway, that's my story. I'm sure I've done other April Fool's pranks, but that was the biggest one I can remember. How are we doing, Chris? Anybody else got anything to share?
Sandy says, my mom was the best pranker. One April Fool's Day, she sewed all 5 of our coat sleeves together so we could not put our hands through.
That sounds really, really good to me. I don't know. I'm trying to think what it's called now. Uh, you must have done this, Chris, at some point. Have you ever sort of pranked someone with bed sheets? What you do is you put a sheet on the bed, and then you fold it in half so that when somebody climbs into the bed, they can't put their legs fully down because the sheet is actually folded in half. Have you ever done that?
No.
Yeah, that's fun. And also wrapping, when someone's sleeping in bed, wrapping toilet paper all the way around, under and over, and toilet paper can be very strong. So when they wake up, they can't get out of bed. They're all stuck in bed. Have you ever done that?
No, my kids were very very easily awoken, so that
All
would
right.
never have worked.
Well, I'm not saying I did these things, of course. I might have done from time to time. Oh, I know what the bed is called. Yes, we used to call it making an apple pie bed, which, don't ask me why. I suppose you put the crust on the top, but you use just one sheet. Anyway, it's called an apple pie bed. I'm sure that the Brits out there know what I'm talking about. All right. Any questions? Any comments? Let's see what we've got, Chris, this morning.
Yes, so Dean says, "Hi all, my kids lived in terror of April Fool's Day. My jokes were pretty elaborate, but he hasn't shared what they are. Now we need to know."
Yes, Dean, come on. Don't keep us in suspense.
And then let's see, I'm trying to pick out what you've asked for first. Okay, Mark says, "I had one prank played on me many years ago.
Okay.
One of my favored employees, who was my custodial gal, and she was amazing, one day she walked into my office and said, 'I'm giving my last day's work notice. Today will be my last day on the job.' I freaked.
Uh,
I said, 'Why? What? Oh my God, please tell me.' She looked at me very stern and said, 'Well, you know that I have parrots and they're having babies, and decided that I'm going to raise them and sell the babies to make a big income.' I about fell on the floor with grief, shock, and disbelief. I looked at her and said, 'Really? I've never heard of such a job.' Then she walked out, and as she did, she turned back and looked at me sternly and said, 'April Fools.'"
oh. I can't believe you believe the selling of babies, Mark, but a good prank. All right, keep going, Chris.
Judith says the sheet thing is called short sheeting here. We did it
Oh,
at camp. Also,
oh,
some put sugar between the sheets.
yes.
It's a lot
Well,
of S's. Sugar between the sheets.
I certainly wouldn't do that, but oh no. But we call it apple pie. So an upside down bed is basically an apple pie bed. Um, while we're waiting for more people to give their comments or questions or whatever, I just want to point out that it is spring. Spring is here, and spring tells us of new hope, new beginnings. Uh, uh, what is it, Chris, that you said to me before the show? April showers bring May flowers. Oh, May, my birthday's in May. Yoo-hoo, we're going to celebrate my birthday. So my daughter's birthday's on the 7th, which is next Thursday. And so, spring is coming, and, the weather's warming up, and there's so much for us to look forward to. But we, as Gregor has reminded us from time to time, we are, as human beings, we have our winter, we have our spring, we have our summer, and we also have our fall. Uh, we have our winters when we're depressed, when we're unhappy, when things aren't going right. It feels like it's so cold and so depressing and so wintry. But even in our winter time, there are great days of sunshine and moments of clarity. We can use our winters for getting to know ourselves, to understand ourselves. And then, of course, we have spring, where, as I've just said, there's lots of hope and lots of new beginnings. So many people I've spoken to recently uh, are in that situation of coming out of their winter, let's say, and going into spring and looking for new things and new beginnings and new hope, a new start, new jobs perhaps, but just even a new way of life. And it's so good to see people smiling again. It's so good to see people happy again. Someone said to me yesterday, "Oh gosh, and there's another strain of COVID." And I put my hand up and I said, "I don't want to hear it. COVID, influenza, you name it. As human beings, we have to deal with all of these things. This is, we're on this planet to deal with all of these things. We can't avoid them. So let's make the most of them." And, You know, it wasn't that long ago somebody was saying about new strain, it's awful, terrible, here comes COVID again, and it didn't happen. So in my life, it's not going to happen. I'm going to look at this springtime and I'm going to see the good in it. I'm going to see the green sheets, the green leaves, the green shoots coming up out of the ground. I'm going to anticipate those beautiful flowers. I'm going to anticipate all of the good stuff that our life can give to us. And literally, I'm going to make the most of, you know, new life, new beginnings. And I'm very, very excited myself because my life will change, I know, for the better when, you know, certain things occur as we're going along in this next year. New people will be coming in, you know, new events will be happening. I'm going to make the most of and the best of the spring and the summer of my life. I know that many people look at me, yes, of course, as we get older, you know, we look to the autumn of our lives, but that doesn't mean that it's awful. It means that, hey, so I've had a great life, I've had a good life, and now I'm in the autumn of my life. Some of you might think I'm in the winter of my life, which I might well be, but I'm blowed if I'm going to be miserable about it. I'm going to enjoy every second, every moment that I possibly can. I'm not superhuman. I don't have superhuman strength, so there will be things that will not be so great that we'll have to deal with. But right now, I'm focusing on, in the next 2 weeks, my darling boy will be here in my arms again. Yay! And yes, so all good things. Chris.
Someone said to me yesterday that we're here on the Earth School, and when we die, that's the graduation. What do you think of that comment?
Well, having spoken to many, many people in the spirit world, I'm not sure that we've all passed. I'm not sure, you know, just because you reach a certain age or a certain stage does not mean that you've necessarily passed the test. So we do graduate. I think we graduate every day, really. We graduate to a new way of life or a new thought or a new beginning. We graduate in our understanding of other people, or sometimes even in our misunderstanding of other people. So I don't see leaving this earth as our graduation point. I think it's just another step, another stage in our learning process.
Lorraine says this is not a prank, but an Easter story.
Okay.
Easter was so much fun when my daughter Jennifer was a little girl. She had a basket with lots of treasures and candy, an Easter bunny trail of jelly beans to find the eggs.
Oh, good
When
idea.
all done, I said to her, I hear something in the closet. She was so excited. And then she opened the closet, and there was a beautiful Easter bunny with a dress of the same color as her Easter dress. She
Oh.
still has this bunny at age 43. I never forgot that particular Easter.
Oh, nice. How nice is that? That's a good idea. Yes. I can't think of anything that I would give to Reese that's going to top the puppy. I'm not sure about that. And by the way, talking of puppies and pets and things, our angel action this week is about nurturing and taking care of our pets and focusing on our pets. And if you're a person, as I am now, who does not have a pet in the house, well, then, you know, search out someone else's, or, you know, do something nice for someone else's pet, because that person will appreciate you as well as the pet appreciating you. But it's all about basically, you know, taking care of our animals, taking care of this planet in so many ways, and understanding that, you know, our, not only our pets, but the animals that inhabit this planet of ours are, you know, they are here for a reason. They have jobs to do, they have work to do, they keep the planet moving and turning, and you know, sort of they bring so much to the planet. So I think it's a time of year when our angel action should be focusing on our little creatures and you know, seeing what we can do to help them. Chris.
I know I subscribe to certain things on Instagram, and one of them happens to be stories over and over and over again where people come across stray animals, and they're usually in the most terrible conditions. But then it shows the progress of they brought them into the vet and they got them cleaned up and they got them trained and they got them fed, and now they're in their forever happy homes. Usually brings tears to my eyes when I see it, but you were just saying for people who do not have pets, they could also contribute, get a bag of litter, a bag of bones, a bag of cat food, dog food, whatever it happens to be, and bring
Right.
it to their local shelter.
Yeah, I mean, don't forget that I think in every town and city, all over the world, I think there are animal shelters. And so, as Chris said, just go to your local supermarket, spend $10 on something that might work for a pet. You don't have to spend a lot, and then take it to your local shelter, or even better still, go to the local shelter and say, "I'd like to volunteer. What can I do?" Volunteer for a couple of hours a week. So thinking about that sort of thing is always great. It's always a good thing to do. Okay, Chris.
Sandy says one of our favorite pranks was putting plastic wrap under the toilet seat. A very rude way to wake up, especially for men and boys.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't think I'd like it either, because you're not looking, are you? You're not thinking. You're just sitting and peeing. If you're a girl, that's what you're doing. And yeah, nude. It's funny, but don't do it to me, please.
The cleanup would not be nice. Yeah.
No, no.
Ronessa says they love spring, watching the outside coming to life, budding, growing, flowering, so much color around us.
Right. Isn't it nice? My jasmine is out. My wonderful, whatever they are. I can't think what they are for a minute. Anyway,
You have
everything's
so much, I wouldn't even know where to prompt you. Your daffodils, are they coming up?
now. The daffodils are up but not flowering yet. Um, and I can't believe I've forgotten these beautiful white flowers, jasmine. No, I said jasmine, haven't I? Anyway, I'll think of it. I'll let you know another
Yeah, as soon
time.
as
I
we
can't
stop thinking
believe it
about
just
it.
went out of my head. It's one of those, you know, old timers moments here that I'm having.
Well, Dean's going to share with us one of his.
Gardenias, gardenias, gardenias. There. Poof,
There you
into
go.
my head.
So
Okay.
Dean says, my son practiced basketball an hour before school each day in high school. So that was 6:30 in the morning. One April 1st, I turned all the clocks back an hour, including his alarm clock. He got up an hour early and couldn't figure out where all his classmates were and wondered why it was still so dark as he sat in the school parking lot. Another, I would run yelling through my house a half hour before the kids got up, saying the cattle were out. The kids would sleepily rush outside only to realize I was still inside the house laughing.
What was it? What was out? The what was out?
Cattle.
The cattle. Oh, right. Okay. Right. Right. Dean, you're not very nice, are you? Getting your kids up. I think that that poor kid sitting in the car park, wondering, wondering where everyone is. Uh, I wonder what his reaction to you was afterwards.
I don't think I would have said I did it.
No, I don't think I know. Yeah, that's the point. Did you admit to it?
And he probably had to switch all the clocks back to the normal time to, cover up the whole escapade. Judith says, yes, I love warm weather. I love blossom in the heat. I enjoy planting seeds and growing flowers. I love watching my dormant plants come up. I thrive in the sun.
Yeah, I think so many of us do. Oh, yes. Yes, well, it is time for me to start. Maybe when my daughter's here, she can help me. I want to put some more. I like to grow my own herbs because herbs, as they say here in America, but herbs, as we say in England, I like to grow my own because I like to make lots of different things. I like to make pesto with my basil or basil. I love thyme, I love lemon thyme, I love all sorts of different types of herbs and things, and I love when I'm sort of, get the plants sorted out and settled down, and it all looks beautiful. And so that's probably what I'm going to be doing over the next couple of weeks or so.
Well, we had Judith and Eric and Carol and Cheryl all typing in Jasmine to help you out.
No, no, it was.
I'm sorry, and gardenias to help you
Oh,
out.
oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Fortunately, I remembered it just in time. But yes, my gardenias. Oh, I already have 3 or 4 out, but every bush, there's like sort of 5 bushes in front of this window, and then another 5 on the in front of my bedroom window, and they've all got big giant buds on them, and you can see they're just about ready to pop. You can just see the sliver of white as the bud opens up. I'm so excited to see them.
So Andrew is reporting back. Andrew is one who heard you talk about angels and training, and he went out and he bought the book and he's jumped into it. So he says about week 12, which was spend a day without a clock. Week 12 is a tricky one.
Yes,
I
it
have
is.
to make sure my daughter gets to college. Even on weekends, there are appointments. Sunday, I might be able to try it. Or since we lost track of time, are we going to skip to week 13 this week? Which is also tricky since I don't have any pets.
That's so funny. That's really funny. Well, Andrew, I have to tell you that our friend Karen uh, called me 2 or 3 days ago to sort of lament the fact that she just couldn't do it. She couldn't do the day without time. It's not a week without time. Remember this, it's only one day in your life. Now, if you can't manage one day of your life without your computer, a clock, a phone, or anything else that just every time you open it up, there's the time. If you can't manage one day, I want you to think about why that is. Are you so tied in to, sort of the all of the amenities in life that you can't just take a step away from it? I want you to think about that, and I want you to think. So I said to my friend Karen, when she comes, because she's coming in May, that's right, she's coming for my birthday. When she comes, I'll show her how easy it is to have a day without time. We put our phones away. It's very simple. We just put our phones away. We warn all of our family and friends, this is what we're doing. You will not be able to get hold of me. And we we just do that wonderful day where the only time we eat is when we're hungry. The only time we get up is when we're awake. The only time we do anything at all is when we feel the need or the urge. We're listening to our body, we're listening to our mind, and we are tuning in to who it is we are. We're not being reminded by some robot of a clock or whatever it is, a phone or a computer. We're not being distracted. We're just spending time learning about ourselves, tuning into our senses, and being driven to do different things by our desires, our innate inner desires. So I'll let you know how it goes with Karen when she comes here. Okay.
All right. Asma's asking, well, she's first saying, hi, how are you doing? And I
Good.
have missed some sessions. It's good to see you again, and I love your energy.
Good. I love it too.
So I quit a few years back a corporate job. I was working as a hypnotherapist and coach. After a lot of struggles, I am back to a corporate job to take care of my expenses as I couldn't make money in coaching. I feel very depressed nowadays as every day I convince myself that it's okay. One day I will build my coaching business. What do you see for me? What will you suggest? And thank you.
I'm going to suggest that you hold on to your hope. I'm going to suggest that you take a look at your spending. Uh, I'm also going to suggest that if you work at it really, really well, really hard, you will be able to build your coaching business. But it's that little thing, isn't it, that so many of us lack. It's called discipline. It's so easy to procrastinate. It's so easy to say, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. And especially when you work for yourself, and I'm speaking now, of course, you all know from my own personal experience, you've not got a boss to crack the whip. You've not got a time, what is that? A timesheet to fill out. You're not, you haven't got to put in any hours at all if you don't want to. um, you don't have anyone else to rule over, or to push you, or to dictate to you. These are the hours and these are the times you have to work. When you work for yourself, discipline, oh gosh, it's so hard. Discipline is required. You if you really want to be successful working for yourself, here is the bottom line, here is the truth. You've got to work far more hours for far less than anyone in the corporate world will ever pay you. You've got to work for so much longer, which is why it's important that you find something that you really love to do. However, you've got to be disciplined about it, and you've got to really work hard to build your business, and do all the right advertising and so on and so forth. So my advice to anybody out there who is in a job that they really hate and would love to work for themselves, don't think working for yourself is easy. And that's where most people make this mistake. Oh, well, she works for herself, she has a good life, it's easy. Let me tell you, it's twice, if not three times harder to work for yourself and to build a business and to be successful than ever it is just sitting there doing what somebody else tells you to do 9 to 5, and then you go home and that's it. So discipline, discipline, discipline is the key, and understanding that working for yourself is going to be way harder than you ever thought, and way more rewarding eventually, but you've got to put in the hard work first. So, you know, I know I sound like, I'm saying to people, it's easy for anybody to do. I'm not saying that at all. It's easy if you require the discipline, and that's what you've got to do above and beyond anything else. Chris.
All right. Sherry says, my mother just passed a few months ago. Who greeted her to the spirit world, and does she have a message?
Well, I'd love to be able to do this for you, but I think what you need to do is you need to sort of book a consultation with someone, or go and see someone who's able to do that for you, because it's a long process. And here on our Thursday morning chats, and we're nearly more than half over, we don't have time to do that. I do think what Gregor is saying to me is that you can be assured that she did meet her loved ones and she was welcomed with open arms. As to who and how and what, that requires more time than we have today. Chris.
Barbara says, good morning. During my recent consultation, my mom, who passed away in November, did not come through. My husband, Donnie, did speak to you, but not mom. Do you know if she is okay? Is she ever near to me or my sister? Thank you for all you do.
Well, my darling, I think that if I remember, and I think I do quite rightly remember this, I think your husband was determined that it was going to be his show and nobody else's, which tells us just how much he loves you and how important it was for him to connect with you. I have no doubt whatsoever that your mother was there. And the next time I think we do this, just remember, ask for her. I'm sure, give, as long as your husband allows her to have a say, I'm sure that she'll do it for you. But yes, I'm absolutely positive that she was there. But I remember your husband quite well, and I remember you quite well, and he was just so determined that he was going to be the one to do this for you, and it was his first time. So I get that, I understand that completely, and I know that you do too. Chris.
Shamanth says, is there any advice from Gray Eagle or from the spirit world for my career? I am planning to look for a new job and I'm looking for guidance.
Okay, then yes, look for something that you are going to be able to enjoy, get your teeth into, and because you are in some ways a great organizer, so you need to look for something that goes to your talents. Have faith in yourself, and when you're applying for jobs, don't just apply for the jobs that you think you won't get turned down from. Dare to stretch yourself, dare to apply for the job that you might not feel qualified for, but in fact you are. Okay, Chris, keep going.
We have some hellos from some new people in the chat room. From Ellen from Holland is sending you love, and
Hi.
Ronessa is from Wisconsin.
Hi. Well, good. We hope you're enjoying it.
Cheryl is asking, if there are parallel universes, are parts of our soul in each universe? What
Oh,
happens if one dies in one of the universes to that part of the soul?
I love that question, but no. What makes you think that our soul is split into these different universes? No, absolutely no. So the second part of the question, what happens when when is irrelevant. No, our soul is our soul is our soul. It's whole, it's intact, it is not split into different where did you get this from? Where did you get this from? I want to know, where did you get this from, my darling? Chris, keep going.
Mark's wondering if you've ever heard or read Leo Buscaglia.
Oh no, I haven't.
He's saying today was his Earth birthday. If you've never heard of him, you can search him on YouTube. But my gut or heart instincts are so strong that I want to be an inspirational speaker and continue on where Leo left off when he retires.
Okay.
So he's wondering, because he gets this feeling each time he watches, is that something that's coming up for him?
Mark, it depends how determined you are. It depends on a trillion things. That's all I can say. Again, I'm going to point out working for yourself also requires discipline. So you've got to have some of that as well. You've got to have a lot of that as well. Chris.
Mariana's saying hello from Milano, Italy.
Hi, Mariana.
It's so nice to see some new names in the chat room. We love our regulars, but
We,
it's also
we do.
nice to hear the questions and see new
Well,
comments.
it's nice to think that the word is spreading a little bit too.
Yeah, Sandra says, I listened to a podcast the other day where they were speaking about earthbound spirit and entity attachment. It was quite disturbing. Usually nothing like that bothers me, but for some reason it really bothered me. Have you heard of such a thing? The speaker said that 70% of people have attachments.
Oh, well, in that case, you don't need to listen anymore because that isn't accurate in any regard whatsoever. So I don't know what you've been listening to, but no, I don't know where do people get these ideas from? I don't know where they get these ideas from. But I have been involved personally in what we call rescue work. And rescue work is required sometimes, and it happens so infrequently. Uh, I'm going to say less than 5%. I'm just checking with Gregor, and he would say even less than that. Uh, um, there are in certain times there are people who, for some reason or another, just do not want to leave this earth. So you could say they're earthbound or what have you. I tell a story in one of my books about, I don't remember which book it was. I tell a story in one of my books about um, a lady who had committed suicide, in fact, and she was bound to the house that she was born in and grew up in. It's a fascinating story. And I was actually brought there by her brother to help her to be able to transition. So we call it rescue work, but it's so rare. Uh, and it happens so infrequently. Most people, when we pass, we have our angels who help us to pass, we have our loved ones in the spirit world, we have our family, we have lots of people who come to collect us. And it is so very, very rare, and really, really very rare, that we shouldn't worry about it. Grey Eagle has been able to, I've been, let's say I've been used, not really used, but in the best sense of the word. I've done many rescues over the years that I've been a spiritual medium, and they've always been successful. And I don't know what, please don't listen to people who don't know. People have these ideas in their head, and then these ideas grow into, our imagination can work wonders. And I don't mean to disparage people who speak about this stuff, but at the same time, I would challenge anyone who says such a thing, and I would personally be willing to stand in front of that person and challenge them to say, where did you come up with this idea? Because it's a nonsense. I hope that makes you feel better. There you go. Chris.
Carol says, I had a horrid time yesterday trying to get an MRI. I failed the appointment due to pain and now need to try a CT scan with contrast.
Oh
How
dear.
much longer is this pain from the accident last December going to carry on?
Um, are you on our healing list, my darling? Because if not, we certainly will put you onto our healing list. We will send you healing every day. Can you perhaps write and tell us a little bit more about it? We'll see if we can help you
This
in any way.
person is on the healing list, Rosemary.
Okay. Well, where does she live? I mean, are any of our great students close by, that sort of thing? Which country does she live in? Um, you know, we have our healers. We have our team of healers. We have a few in England. We have a few here in the States. Um, there are many places you can go to that can help you in this regard. But it bothers me that you're in so much pain. So if you could write to us and let us know a little bit more, we'll see. I'm not promising we can help you, but we'll see if we can.
All right. Helen wrote about the day with no time. If I got out of bed for the day when I felt like it, I would stay in bed all day.
And that's fine. That's really fine. You're having a day without time. But if you're staying in bed all day, you're not necessarily sleeping the whole day away. But if you are, it's also fine. Um, you need to read what is the suggestions that there are in the Angels in Training book, because it has some great ideas for you. And it's literally sort of letting go of our all of this electronic stuff that we have that dictates to us what we do, where we go, what time we get there, what time we leave, and so on and so forth. It's learning to live with your, with your, let's say, your inner clock. Um, and it's learning to appreciate and to become more in tune with your own self and your own feelings. You know, you don't just eat because it's 1 o'clock. You eat when you're hungry. You don't just eat because because somebody tells you that it's time for dinner or time for breakfast. You eat when you're hungry. You sleep when you're tired. If that's all day, well, that's all day. You learn to listen to who you are, and the more you listen to who you are and the more time you spend with that, the more able you are to connect with your own soul. So it's a way of it's connecting with your own soul also in a really good and positive way.
Carol wrote back saying, I'm becoming a bit stressed over this because you are a chronic pain sufferer. I know that you'll understand. What words of wisdom do you have for people who suffer from chronic pain?
Um, well, it's I think you have to be aware of your body. This morning, for instance, I got up and I'm putting on my makeup, which takes all of 5 minutes. Uh, I've got it down to fine art, dub, 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 and that's the end of that. I was standing in the bathroom and I was aware that my back was starting to do its normal achy stuff. So being aware of your body, making sure that you catch what's happening to you before it gets to be so severe that, for instance, when I catch myself, my back is really hurting, I'll sit down for half an hour. I'll put my feet up for that amount of time or whatever. You try to not push through, but to be aware and take little breaks in between and then get on with your day. And that's how you deal with it. But having a positive attitude and determining that, whatever is going on here is not going to stop you from moving around, and it's not going to stop you from doing the things that you want to do. And very often when you start to do things that you want to do, or even if you sit down, pick up a book, pick up a really great book, you won't have the chronic pain anymore. While you're involved and immersed in the book, there'll be some relief for you. So there are lots of different little ways that you can relieve what is going on with you. But getting to the root of, why this pain is still continuing is important. So you do need to go, sort of have yourself properly checked out. And if I were there with you, I'd be putting my little hands on you and taking a look myself. But I think that, I think you might be the kind of person who you can't barrel through pain and get away with it. Because if you barrel through pain or you grit your teeth and you try to force yourself through, the reason we have pain is because our body is telling us, hold on a minute here, stop what you're doing, take notice of this. So barreling through pain, you can only do it for so long. And in fact, what you're doing when you're barreling through it is you're forcing it to become even worse. So, so think on that. Chris.
Elizabetta says, today you look gorgeous.
Oh,
Sorry for my silence. Things going for me very well. I
good.
work so hard for my project, and I thank you for all you have told me in the past. It's true. You were right, and I help young writers to grow up in their job.
Oh, good, Elizabeth. I'm so happy for you. I'm so pleased. It makes me smile because when we don't hear from people, it's often because they're doing really well. Just, we so often get people who are so desperate and they need help. And then when everything starts to work out for them, they disappear from us. So we do love hearing from you, whether life is going well or life is not going well. And I'm really pleased, Elizabeth, that you've been able to share that with us. So really good for you. And we're pleased to have you here anytime.
Ronessa's asking, how do you recharge crystals?
Um, well, I'm not a crystal expert.
Samantha J. Altea, or I Samantha Altea.
Sorry, did I lose you, Chris?
No, you're still here.
I can't switch it off. I have to let it keep ringing. That's my daughter who really should know better, but obviously doesn't know better. So can you still hear me?
Yes.
Let me switch this down. Right. All right. If I could get up at this moment in time, I would show you. I have 3 crystals that I've had for a long, long time that were sort of, well, let's say they kind of fell into my hands. You know how that works. I never recharge them. I don't feel any need to recharge them. Um, I don't use them that often either. But when you're holding crystals and you're using crystals, if your energy is what it's supposed to be, if you have recharged your own energy, then you will marry that energy with the crystals. There's no need for recharging, particularly just holding and valuing and sort of attuning to your crystals is the way to recharge them, and also to recharge you too. So I don't know if that helps, but there we are. Chris.
Lorraine says, I am rereading The Eagle and the Rose.
Oh, right.
It's nice to go over your story again. At that time, your Samantha was 12, and your
Yes.
remarkable time of Gray Eagle coming into your life. Do we all have spirit guides, or do these particular guides come to people who are clairvoyant to help them along?
No. We've spoken about this before, but I will briefly mention again. No, we do not all have spirit guides as I have Grey Eagle. A spirit guide, a true spirit guide, is a very highly evolved spiritual entity, only working with those of us who are working full time in this field. Imagine, right? You're a nurse and you go to train in, let's say, New York Hospital. Does the head of the hospital walk around with you all day, every day? You're a nurse, you're learning, you're in training, but no, of course he's not going to. And it depends how you progress. Do you go from a nurse? Do you become the most experienced? Do you become the best? And even then, would the head of the hospital take you under his wing as a student? Probably not. It's kind of the same thing. Having said that, you'll have lots of people as a nurse, wonderful people, teachers, helpers, and so on, who will help you and guide you. In the spirit world, those people are our family and our friends who will come to us. They will help us. They will guide us. They will steer us. They'll be our angels in any way that they can, if we're prepared to listen to them. But a spirit guide is something very, very different, and very, very, very few people truly have a spirit guide. It always makes me laugh when I hear people say, well, I've got 3 spirit guides. Well, I've got 6 spirit guides. I'm thinking, wow, I don't think I'd be able to handle more than one. So Grakel is a very highly evolved spiritual entity, a teacher, a phenomenal teacher. When he was on this earth plane, he was in fact a shaman, still is a shaman. And we work together continually, all the time. So I don't know if that answers your question, but there you have it. Chris.
All right, since we're coming up on time, I wanted to ask one last question. So we know right now you're live streaming on YouTube. You're live streaming on 2 of your Facebook pages. You're live streaming on Twitter. Today, for the first time, you're live streaming on LinkedIn. So these are the people from the business world. What could you say to your new followers on LinkedIn about what you can do to help people in the business world?
Oh, well, of course, the immediate thing springs to mind, of course. Soul Signs is all about relationships, personal relationships, working relationships, you name it, parenting relationships, you name it, any kind of relationship, and talks about compatibility. In the business world, we're often putting teams together, aren't we? Those teams have different tasks. If you get a team together where people are not compatible, you know that the project is not going to work nearly as well as if you get the team together which is compatible. So I would say in the workplace, make sure that, and you can do this through reading soul signs. You know, I mean, I'm actually going to be very soon actually going out and about talking to a whole big group of business people. talking about compatibility and talking about energy, making sure that, we have the right energy. But it's not just for people in business. This is for, it explains, for instance, why your mother might seem to love your brother more than you. It explains why two sisters get on really well together, but the third sister doesn't get on at all well. It explains. It's all about energy and different kinds of energy. And there was a soul question a few minutes ago. Is our soul split onto different levels or different planes or something? No, 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 no. Our soul is our soul is our soul, and created from, for each of us, a different type of energy. My soul was created from that earth element. There are people whose souls are created from that, the element of water, fire and air, all of those elements, earth elements, and of course the element of sulfur. So our souls are created from different types of energy, simply. And so, when we come to this earth and we're born to this earth, our soul and the energy that our soul is created from has a great deal to do with our character, our attitude, our abilities. It's everything. That energy is everything. So soul signs is where you should go to read more of that. Just remember, when you're reading soul signs, everybody, and somebody actually asked me, we talked about this a while ago, and somebody said to me, can you tell us who the author of Soul Signs is, please? So I'm just going to let you know, I am the author of Soul Signs. Actually, Grey Eagle really is the author of Soul Signs. But when you read Soul Signs, do remember the golden key. Do not be tempted to look at all the 13 different soul signs that there are on this earth. Do not be tempted. And you might think that sounds a bit like astrology, but it isn't actually like astrology at all. First, find your soul group. Are you an earth sign, air sign, fire sign, water sign? Are you in that case? If you are, find your soul group, and then after you found your soul group, you'll only have 3 choices of soul sign. One of those 3 you'll eliminate immediately. You'll say, that's not me. The other 2 you will have to do a little bit of work on. Once you find your soul sign, then your soul group, and then your soul sign, well, then you can have a lot of fun with this, because then you can easily decide what other types of energy your friends, your family are. It will explain so many things to you about compatibility and so on. And it also will tell you, why you and your husband fight all the time, or why you and your partner are so compatible and so wonderful. It'll explain all of that. It explains to people who are looking for partnerships, for looking for romance. It'll explain what you need to look for, and on we go. Right, Chris?
Absolutely. I have found in the business world myself that once I know who I'm working with and the energy that they come from, the way I draft emails, the way I phrase things on a phone call, the way that I interact with them during a meeting
Yeah.
is more accepting, and I can more meet them where they're coming from.
Yeah. Once you know what soul sign they are. But first you've got to know what soul sign you are, because if you don't know what soul sign you are, then how can you know who you're going to be compatible with and who you're not going to be compatible with? And for those people who you're not compatible with, how are you going to know how to handle them, as you've just said, Chris? So there
It
you
makes
go.
for more harmonious relationships. So the next time we're going to be on is Saturday, Rosemary.
Oh, really? Is it?
Unless you do an off the cuff.
We might do an off the cuff. Yeah. We could do an off the cuff later. Do you fancy it, Chris?
Quite possibly.
All right, then watch for it, everybody. You'll see it flash up. We might be doing an off the cuff tonight or tomorrow. But why not tonight? Why not indeed? I'm so excited. New life, new hope, new beginnings. Spring is here for every one of us. It's April Fool's tomorrow. If you get pranked, don't get mad. If you are pranking, don't be surprised if somebody gets mad at you. But you know, when you're pranking, always be nice about it. I'm not sure about the car park thing, Dean. Be nice when you're pranking. If you're going to prank, we'd love to hear more of your pranks, or if you get pranked yourself, we should be back here definitely on Saturday morning for our story time. And yes, we don't know what that's going to be, but I did say I'm going to see if I can find a sort of a bit of a spooky, ghosty or something story to tell you all. Yes, because 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is the same time as you got on here, will be our story time, and you will, of course, be able to ask questions or make comments, or, you know, if you've got a story, we'd love to hear it. So until then, thank you, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. I'm pleased to be on LinkedIn finally. So thank you to all of you guys who hope you've all enjoyed the show. I'd like to say thank you, Chris, particularly, because you do a great job. And of course, always thanking my spirit guide, Grey Eagle. Until I see you all again, which possibly is later today, and if not tomorrow, definitely Saturday. Until I see you all again, please, everybody, have a very blessed rest of the day, and have a very blessed weekend, everybody. Bye.